All right. Thanks for having me, everybody. I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. As I said, my name's Jeff Gibby. I have a little bit of a legal disclaimer that I'm really good at reading. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, get the lawyers happy. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock and its employees shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. MetaStock and its employees do not endorse the purchase of a security, nor are they paid for the promotion of a security. No information contained in this presentation should be construed as investment advice or the solicitation to buy a security, any security at all. All right, very cool. While we get started, I hope everybody's doing well today. If you have questions, make sure to ask them. If you're not familiar very well with GoToWebinar, it's like a little questions box. It's off to the right-hand side of the chart. So I do have a question for you as we get started. How many of you are familiar with, well, let's just say it this way. Are you familiar with Ichimoku, the Ichimoku Kinko Hui indicator? Just let me know yes, no in the chat. I'd be very, very interested to know. That's what we're going to be covering today. Kenneth says yes. Maverick says hello. Reg, yes. Monty, yes. Okay, well, you guys are going to get a refresher. So anyway, just to introduce myself real quick, I've worked at MetaStock. It's 2024. I guess it's 27 years now. I started in like 97. So it's a great company to work for. We're not going to talk a lot about MetaStock. There's some things that I'm going to kind of show about MetaStock, but I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking about MetaStock. So just to kind of give you some background on the company, we were started in 1982. When I started in 97, we were totally owned by Reuters. In that time period, Reuters became Thomson Reuters. Then they were purchased out by Blackstone. Now London Stock Exchange Group owns them. We have a good relationship with the guys over at London Stock Exchange and the Reuters people, and those people that we've worked with for many, many years. But we're no longer part of Thomson Reuters. We actually did an employee back in 2013. So a lot of history you didn't know, need to know really, but it is a company we've been doing MetaStock for a long time. And the one thing that I'll say about MetaStock, I'll probably say a few things about MetaStock, but I do want you to, one of the things that we're proud of is this year, for the 31st year in a row, we were rated number one in our soft category, in our price category. And we may not get into all of the tools that are available as part of MetaStock. You can do scanning. I love scanning. It's one of those tools that I use probably twice a day, every trading day. Once if I miss the market close or something, I get busy here. But you also have, we're going to talk a little bit about the expert advisor, just the capabilities that are in there. What I want to do today, though, is instead of kind of just talking about MetaStock and stuff like that, I want to talk a little bit about the Ichimoku method and the indicator, how it's calculated, kind of go through how you use it. And my goal is to give you some information about how to use it. And we do have a little bit of a limited time, about 24 minutes in, or 24 minutes to go. And so I'm going to go fairly quickly, just because I normally spend about an hour talking about this. So if it feels like I'm a little bit rushed, I might be. So, but in any case, and there's a lot to talk about. Ichimoku is a very, very cool indicator. And so let's kind of jump into it. This gentleman here is a gentleman by the name of Goichi Hasada, and he is the developer of the Ichimoku method. He developed it for his own personal use. Ichimoku Sanjin, if you're kind of interested, is the name that he went by. And it roughly translates, it means what a man in the mountain sees. So anyway, Goichi Hasada is kind of the person that made the Ichimoku method popular. And he released it, he kind of developed it for his own internal use and developed it, I believe he developed about 60 years later. And I believe it was in the 1960s. And I might even have that in my notes. I do not. So, but in any case, he's the creator of kind of the Ichimoku method. And I'm going to go through and just talk about like the indicators, how they're calculated, how they're used, and there's a lot to it. So I'm going to jump right into it. So if we talk about the ways you can use the Ichimoku indicator, there's quite a few, and you can use it to get buy and sell indications. You can use it to determine if a security is bullish or bearish. You can use it to kind of anticipate future price direction. You can use it to see where support and resistance is now and in the future. You can use it to kind of identify an expected future trend, show the stability of trend, anticipate reversals, and it also can help you identify stops. So it is really a fairly comprehensive collection of indicators. And so what I'm going to do to kind of do that is we'll talk about the indicators. And right here you can see there's about 6 of them. And not about 6, there's exactly 6. There's the Tenkan-san, the Kijun-san, the Kumo, which is made of the Senko span A and the Senko span B, and the difference between them, the Chiku span and the close. So let's go ahead and start a little bit with the Tenkan-san. The Tenkan-san, if I wanted to kind of calculate what the Tenkan-san is, it's going to be this red area on the chart, or I'm sorry, this purple indicator on the chart. And to calculate it, what you'll do is you'll look at the highest high that you've had in the last 9 bars, okay? And then you'll also look at the lowest low you've had in the last 9 bars, add those values together and divide it by 2, and the result would be basically the Tenkan-san, or this purple line here, okay? The line under here, the red line, is actually called the Kijun-san, and it's the same calculation. Look at the highest high, except for you're using 26 bars. So you'd look for the highest high within 26 bars, you'd add it to the lowest low within 26 bars, and you'd divide it by 2. So basically, like the closest thing, if you kind of want to kind of make it an equivalence for this, is you could kind of think of this as a shorter term moving average. It's not really a moving average. You're looking at a middle price, right? And you could kind of look at this as a longer term moving average if you kind of wanted to kind of look at it that way. It's not exactly that, but the calculations are similar. So in terms of the uses for the Tenkan-san and the Kijun-san, here's kind of the 3 primary methodologies that Goichi Hasada taught in terms of how to use it. So in general, if the Tenkan-san is above the Kijun-san, then you're going to be kind of bullish. If the Kijun, that's going to be a bullish sign. There's actually different ways to read bullishness and bearishness depending on what indicators that you're looking at, and we will talk about all of them. But for a bullish point, let's say it that way, if the Tenkan-san is above the Kijun-san, you're going to say that that's bullish. If the Tenkan-san is below the Kijun-san, that's going to be bearish, and a cross would indicate a primary buy signal for the Tenkan-san and the Kijun-san. And I think I might have, actually, and I do have a chart open here. And so this is just a chart of GE. I chose GE because it's been going absolutely nuts this year. But if we kind of come in here, I'm going to kind of zoom into kind of this and just kind of reiterate what we're talking about on the chart, okay? So right here, you've got this Tenkan-san level here. This is the Kijun-san. Okay, so if our Tenkan-san is up above the Kijun-san, as it is in GE right here, that would be bullish. Okay, that's not what's feeding this bullish reading down here. It's a different bullish reading, but your cross, you'll notice right here where it crosses, the cross of the Tenkan-san and the Kijun-san is going to give you a Ichimoku buy opportunity. Okay, there's a couple. We're going to talk about a little bit more about kind of a very, very popular one in just a second, but those are the ways that you kind of use these 2 indicators. So Tenkan-san, I'm just recapping, Kijun-san, okay? And then basically the crosses are a buy opportunity. You can read that as bullish or bearish based on whether the Tenkan-san is above or below the Kijun-san. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on a little bit, and we'll talk about kind of the Kumo, or the cloud. Now, when I started, I'd always call it the Kumo cloud. But Kumo means cloud in Japanese. So if you say Kumo cloud, you're basically saying cloud. So I've purged that habit. We're just going to call it the Kumo, or I'll call it the cloud. It's the same thing. Now, the Kumo cloud is actually the difference, or the area between this indicator here, which is called the Senko span A, and the Senkou span B, which is this indicator down here. Okay, so the top indicator is the Senkou span A. This bottom indicator is the Senkou span B. The area between those two indicators is going to be the cloud or the Kumo, however you want to say it. Okay, to calculate the Senkou span A, what we would do is you take the Tenkan-sen A and the Kijun-sen, you add them together. So you take this indicator plus this indicator, you take that value, divide it by 2, and what you'd actually do is Goicho actually move that 26 bars ahead. So if I was looking at the value right now, it's right here, this is where the Senkou span A sits. If I took this, divided it by this, the current value, that's going to give me the value of the Senkou span A currently, okay? And that's why it plots 26 bars into the future. It's just shifted horizontally into the future, okay? If we're talking about the Senkou span B right here, this is the green line, okay? What it does is it takes the highest high for 52 days plus the lowest low for 52 days and divides that by 2 and also shifts that into the future, 26 bars. Okay. Now there's a lot of uses for the Kumo in kind of how you're looking at price. And I've got them all kind of itemized here. And I'm going to kind of, I'm going to go back to I am in the PowerPoint. You go one bar ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about trend bias and how you can kind of use this. So one of the ways you can use the Ichimoku, the Kumo, I'm actually sure this does the whole thing, we'll just call it the Kumo right now, is as a trend bias. So if I'm looking at my chart of GE, if price is up above the Kumo or the cloud, that's a bullish signal. So right here, you can see where it's above the Kumo. It just means that you're actually in a bullish phase. And with GE, just because of the kind of the magnitude of the trend, we've been in a bullish phase for quite some time on the Kumo. It started right back here where we went above the Kumo. So that's another way we can kind of measure bullish or bearish. I think it's the second way. But in addition to that, we also can use the relationship with the price and Kumo to identify really kind of what we expect things to happen in the future, where we expect prices to rise, and that kind of stuff. So if I'm looking at the direction of the Kumo right now, and currently it's going up, okay, we would expect price to be kind of following the direction of this Kumo, okay? If this started to drop down, we'd anticipate maybe a reversal in price in the future when that Kumo comes down, okay? If the Senkou span A is above the Senkou span B, so in other words, if your SSA is above your SSB, that's also going to be a bit bullish. If the and you'll notice that the cloud, at least the way we've got it colored here in MetaStock, is listed as green as well. If it's down below, you'll have a purple cloud, and that's a bit of a bearish indication. So there's a lot of metrics that you can kind of look at to kind of understand what's going on, okay? We also can treat the Kumo as support and resistance. So if we have a bit of GE hasn't pulled back at all this year, but if you have a bit of a pullback into the cloud, your anticipation, unless it crosses through the cloud, is that this area is going to act as support going forward, okay? Now, the other core signal, we talked about how the Tenkan-sen and the we're talking about how the crossover of these is actually bullish and a signal. If we have price and it comes and moves through the cloud and closes above the cloud, that's also a buy signal. And let me just kind of get in here and we'll show you exactly what I mean here. So right here, when GE was kind of trading down here below the cloud, to give you a timestamp, it's November 8th. When it actually kind of moves up above the cloud, you'll see here it opened down below the cloud, came in and closed below the cloud. Closed above the cloud. That's a classic buy signal. That's the other thing that can give you a signal to kind of tell you to get into the market. So if we're looking at GE back in November, there's a few things that we can actually kind of start to summarize. And actually, I'm going to hold on the summary for now. Let's kind of just continue to talk a little bit about the crows. So if we're talking about the cloud, you can use it to kind of identify what trend bias is doing. you can use it to identify what is the relationship to price in relationship to the Kumo. You can look at it as in terms of anticipating where you're going to run into support or resistance based on where the cloud is in relationship to price. And you can look at the direction and kind of get an anticipation of kind of what the expectation is for the future and for the current being. And then when the Senku span A crosses down below the Senku span B, so let me kind of get this on the chart. Right here, you have a purple cloud. When this, or a green cloud right here, the Senku span A comes down, crosses down below the Senku span B, the whole color of the cloud changes color. And that's actually what's called a Kumo twist. And in the case where it goes from green to red, that's a bearish Kumo twist. So I know there's a lot of stuff here, but that's how you use the cloud. And we are trying to cram this into just a few minutes. I've got 12 minutes left. So in any case, I do want to talk about the final indicator and how it's used. This final indicator is called the Chiku span. The Chiku span is basically very, very simple. If I took today's close price and I shifted it back 26 bars on the chart, it's going to give me the relationship to, well, it's going to give me the Chiku span. So, and the way that we use the Chiku span is we kind of look at it at its relationship to the Kumo or the cloud and its relationship to price. So, and the way that kind of works is like, let's kind of scroll out here. So right here, this is the Chiku span, okay? If it is above the cloud and it's also above price, those are both bullish indications. That adds to the credibility that we're in a very, very stable uptrend, in this case with GE, okay? So let me kind of just go through, and that's really it. Like, okay, how are we doing? If the Chiku span is above the cloud, it lends credence to a very stable bullish trend, which is what we've seen on GE, right? If it's also above price, it gives us very, very good anticipation that the trend of the stock is going up and gives us an added stability. So I know there's a lot that we just talked about, and what I want to do is I want to kind of just show you kind of how this works a little bit on a chart, and kind of how one of the things that we just put into MetaStock was an expert advisor that kind of helps you kind of understand what's going on. And in this case, with the Ichimoku with regard to GE. So let me go ahead. I've got the commentary, or I've got the expert advisor attached. I'm just going to go ahead and view the expert commentary and kind of walk you through kind of what it's doing. Okay. Let me go ahead and click on this so you can see it. And by default, this is just going to kind of give us a breakdown of everything I just rapidly told you, right? So right here, if I kind of wanted to look at, here's all the indicator values. If we're looking at GE at the very, very last bar of the chart, what it's going to tell us is that the TQ cross is bullish. We had a TK cross signal that was weak that occurred 123 bars ago. So the TK has actually been trading above the Tenkan-sen has been traded above the Kijun-sen for 123 days, okay? And that's bullish. As long as it's above there, that's bullish, right? Our relationship for price to Kumo, remember that is where's the price versus where's the thing. We're above the Kumo, so that's bullish, okay? Our current Kumo direction is bullish. Our future Kumo direction is also bullish. There's no kind of twist into the future. Our Chiku span relationship to Kumo, the Chiku span is this one. That's bullish, it's above. Our Chiku span relationship to price is also bullish, it's above. Okay, the period since the Kumo twist is bullish. We actually had our last Kumo twist right here. This was 94 bars ago. So if I'm kind of looking at kind of what this is telling me in terms of Ichimoku, everything in GE, as we'd expect, is bullish just because GE, out of all of the stocks, has been bullish just insanely. It's had a very, very, well, I'll just say it's had a very, very consistent uptrend. Okay, so if we kind of wanted to kind of analyze some different areas of the chart, I'm going to go ahead and pop this out. And instead of actually kind of displaying it there, I'm going to actually kind of just display it as a window. But if I wanted to kind of just show you some different stuff, let me kind of come in here. And let's just kind of look at maybe this bar. Oh, actually, I have to unfast forward it. Okay, and you'll see that this triangle, now it's kind of doing an analysis of this bar. So if we're kind of looking at GE here, it's going to kind of give us a little bit of a different picture. Going into kind of this massive up move that we've had in GE, we had another move, but kind of a period of, like, I'd say, consolidation, just looking at this chart. So if we're looking at kind of where this cross happens, we'd have a TK cross, which was bearish, and it was actually strong. We'd have a price Kumo relationship, which is bullish because we're above the price. We'd have current Kumo direction, a future Kumo direction. And so we have 3 bullish and 4 bearish, right? We don't have kind of the same picture, mostly because we really aren't in that bullish trend. As we follow this forward, if we didn't want to trade it because it was mostly bearish, if we kind of just come forward a little bit in time, we're going to have an update every single day. And you see, even just right here on the chart, after we've had a little bit of a move, things are starting to get a lot more bullish, right? You've got bullish, bullish, bearish, bullish, 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 bullish. Now, what we're using here is a feature called the expert advisor. And what I'm kind of actually showing you is the commentary. And I think this is a good example of kind of how commentaries work in MetaStock. I have talked a lot very quickly about kind of like what the Ichimoku is, but this will actually help break down kind of what that is. So if you're learning Ichimoku method, I can come in here, and this black part is going to basically tell you what's happening on the chart, while this blue part is going to tell you what's pertinent to GE on the bar that you're looking at. I just love kind of when commentaries do this. And this is the reason, actually, I decided that we would go and actually buy the rights to this. Initially, when I started at MetaStock, there was, I'll just show it to you real quick. There's an expert in here that there's actually hundreds of experts, but there's an expert in here that I absolutely love that showed the candlestick patterns and how they work and how they put together. And it's just something that's included with MetaStock. It just identifies the patterns. But the reason I like the expert advisor is it kind of helps you understand, okay, what's going on this? And in this particular case, it's going to break everything down for you. We've got the Ichimoku one at the top. It's going to tell you what they are, what the signals are, what they're generating, all that kind of stuff. And it's really going to help you understand what's going on with an Ichimoku chart. It's not very complicated. It might seem complicated when I'm trying to teach it in like 20 minutes, but it's really, once you kind of get the hang of it, you're going to understand it fairly well. Now, the other thing I really want to show you is kind of how you can apply this in a chart. And I have to kind of move a little bit quick here, but or how you can use this. Obviously with GE, if we're looking at GE, very, very bullish, everything, but we really haven't had an opportunity to buy or a signal to buy since really way back here, and it's taken way off since then. And what if I wanted to find something that was a fresh opportunity? If you like Ichimoku, you want to identify maybe where the close came in above the cloud or where a TK cross come in or something like that. We have an ability in MetaStock to run an exploration. And it's one of the things I've been using MetaStock now, and I've been trading. I've been doing a combination of those for like 27 years, as I said. But if I come in here and I want to find a signal, and let's say we just want to do the Ichimoku, there's hundreds of methods in MetaStock. I can come in here. There's one called the Ichimoku signal. Okay, what I'm going to do, this should have the same list that I always scan in here because I was just in here yesterday. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run an exploration against the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the Dow 30. So there's about 503 actually stocks. There's a lot of overlap between those 3 lists. But what it's going to actually do is it's going to reject 80 to 85% of the stocks. And it's going to identify which ones have either an opportunity to buy because the stock closed above the cloud or an opportunity to get back in because of the TK cross. And so it'll run through this. It'll give me a nice little report. The other thing that I like about it, I don't think I'm going to let it finish just because time. But the other thing I really like about this is it also gives me a combination score of the bullishness, bearishness of that. So when we were looking at this expert commentary, it told us, okay, this is bullish, and this is bullish, and this is bearish, and this is bearish. This will actually, when we run this exploration, it'll the report will give us a total sum index of exactly what happened. So there you go. This is something that we just basically put together. Okay, here's the score. So you see you've got the cross of the Kumo, the current Kumo, the future Kumo, and all these are getting like 1 or 2 points, right? If I wanted to look for buy opportunities and I wanted to rank them based on the score, I could actually see Doku Energy here had a current Kumo, had a TK cross signal, and a current signal, and it's a value of 6. So 6 of those conditions are actually matching up. So I have a bit of a fuller video that's up on our YouTube channel. We'd be happy to send it to you. It kind of goes into a little bit more detail. But I just love kind of the way that this works with MetaStock, because MetaStock has a lot of power tools that are in it. And as somebody that's worked with MetaStock for a number of years, I absolutely love the ability to go, just to kind of mention, here's a list of the Ichimoku, but I'm going to kind of go faster right now. This is included with MetaStock. But if you're new to MetaStock, if you haven't used MetaStock, as I said, it's been rated #1 31 years in a row. Now, has a bunch of things that'll help you as a trader. If you want to identify and understand what systems work well, what the drawdowns of systems are, how methods perform compared to other methods, all that kind of stuff. We have a system tester that'll help you understand that. And that system tester can work across multiple markets. It can work against 200 systems that we've already put together, or you can create your own. So very, very functional tool. Okay. Once you identify a system, if you want to understand it, just like we did with Ichimoku, you can attach an expert advisor. It'll explain everything from like candlestick patterns to MACD to Ichimoku, anything that you want. It's such an incredible toolbox. We've been working on it since the 80s. And then, of course, the ability to scan. And for me, I find scanning in MetaStock so helpful and so handy. I love scanning. I do it every day. And I think, Price Headley used to say that there's 5,600 different optional stocks right now. And what he wanted to do is identify the ones with opportunity, ignore the ones that have smaller opportunity, and focus on the other big opportunity. So we do have 2 versions of MetaStock. I'm going to wrap up right now. We've got 265. We've got a real-time version that comes with Reuters News. It's $265 per month. We've got an end-of-day version, which is $69 per month. What we do have a great help desk. We've got training that you can get as part of the program. What we're going to offer here, our software that's been rated #1 31 years in a row. If you buy a month, we'll give you a second and third month for free. So if you only do end of day, that's going to cost you like $23 a month. I'd encourage you to try it. That'll include actually MetaStock 19. I just noticed I have it up. That'll include data. We'll actually have somebody sit down with you, help you understand how to run it. They'll walk you through anything you want to know. And we'll also include a training disc. So you can actually do that at 800-882-3040. You can chat online with us at metastock.com/saleschat, or you can actually also sign up directly online at metastock.com/festival3for1. So that's my time. Gopa, good to see you. Maverick, I'm out of time, but I would be happy to send you a chart of NVDA if you want to. So if you want to get in touch with us or me, send me an email. I'd be happy to send you a chart with the analysis on it. So thanks, guys.